What's up YouTube? My name is Andres Restrepo and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to be taking you inside of a beautiful condo here in Hayes Valley that I'm actually going to be submitting an offer for with my client. The offer date is set for this Thursday and today we are here on Tuesday for broker's tour. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes action of what happens when you've actually located a property that you're interested in and you're getting ready to analyze the value before submitting an offer. So stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy this property. Welcome to 553 Grove Street. This designer home features tall 11-foot ceilings and freshly refinished solid oak floors. Originally built in 1890, the condo was renovated extensively after a fire in 2006. The wood wall actually contains reclaimed Douglas fir left over from the fire, as well as handmade cabinetries, luxury appliances, and heath tile on the fireplace and in the bathroom. The property has a deeded deck in the back, a downstairs common space, and one-car parking is included. If you recognize this row of Victorian homes, known as the famous Painted Ladies, you may already have a good idea of which part of town we're centered in. Hayes Valley is located adjacent to Alamo Square, Lower Haight, DuBose Triangle, and Civic Center. Patricia's Green in Hayes Valley is the heart of the neighborhood. Here you'll find top private schools, the Conservatory of Music, beer garden, popular coffee shops like Ritual, lots of independent shops, and some of our favorite restaurants like Amano. Love the handmade pasta there. Chez Maman for some delicious mussels, and Souvla if you're craving a bomb Greek sandwich, and so much more. Alright guys, so I hope you like the property. As you can probably tell from the videos, it's a really unique Victorian home. Now that we're back here in front of a computer, this is where the real work actually starts. So there are two things that you're going to want to do leading up to an offer. Doesn't really matter which order you do these in, but you're definitely going to want to do them nonetheless. And the two items that I'm talking about right now are going to be analyzing the disclosures and coming up with a pricing analysis. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, chances are you've never ever seen a disclosure package in your life. So this is why you're really going to want to rely on your agent to walk you through step by step or item by item so you're aware of what you're actually looking at. I spent a couple hours with my client just going over document after document to really pinpoint and highlight the things that he should be focused on. When it comes to disclosure packages here in San Francisco, they're generally going to be very extensive documents which can be anywhere between 200 to 300 pages. Sometimes more if you're working with a condo. I have created a very cool disclosure package guide, and I always share this with my clients so they can differentiate between property-specific disclosures and just California standard disclosures, which are going to be seen in all disclosure packages here in the state of California. Now, when we're going to look at these disclosure packages, there are a few documents that are always important to spend quite a bit of time on. Here in California and in San Francisco specifically, we have the San Francisco seller disclosure, the transfer disclosure statement, which you see that in all the state of California. You're gonna wanna look at the inspection reports, both property and pest, title reports, and sometimes even the historic disclosures if the property was recently sold. This will give you a good idea of all material facts and known information about the property that you should definitely be aware of. Now, once you fully review the disclosure package, that's really when the bulk of your questions will likely come up. Now, you can always let your agent know what sort of things, aren't so clear. They can obviously clarify for you. And if there are questions that need to be compiled and sent over to the listing side for further explanation. So that's why it's very crucial to make sure that you go through this document thoroughly and have your agent help you do that, especially if you've never done it before. Once you have the disclosures out of the way, you're gonna wanna have your agent do a pricing analysis for you. This is gonna be a comparative market analysis. What your agent will do is they'll pretty much pull up a quarter-mile radius search of all condos or single-family homes, depending on the property type that you're looking at, that has sold in the previous 6-month period. You're always gonna wanna compare the property that you're gonna be offering on to other properties that are as close as possible to the property that you're gonna be submitting an offer for. Don't just look at bedroom counts, but actually look at characteristics. If you have a Victorian condo, you might not necessarily want to be comparing that to a brand new construction condo, because obviously there's going to be a bit of a delta there in what the price per square foot of the new build was versus the older home. Now, with that said, it may still be a data point, and if there aren't a lot of comparables for the property that you're looking at, it may serve as at least a rough number of what sort of price per square foot can be justified in that particular area. I went and I saw 553 Grove on Tuesday on broker tour. My client had actually seen it on the previous weekend. While I was at the property, I met the listing agent and I got to ask her some very important questions, which your agent should definitely be doing that. And if you don't have an agent, make sure to drop me a DM. I'd love to chat with you. But with that out of the way, I always want to check with the agent and see, hey, how many disclosure packages do you have out? Just more or less gauge interest and see how many parties have actually taken that extra step to start kind of going through the history of the property and see if they have any interest in potentially moving forward with an offer. My follow-up question to that is usually going to be, do you have any parties that are kind of chomping at the bit here, asking a lot of questions, or maybe even parties that have confirmed that they will be submitting an offer on the offer date? So when I spoke with the listing agent at 553 Grove, I found out that they have 22 disclosure packages out and they have 3 confirmed offers, okay? So with that bit of information, I already know that it's gonna be a multiple offer situation, so it's gonna be competitive, right? And if you're working with somebody, or if you're a buyer, for example, that really wants a property, this is where you're gonna wanna really do things that'll help your offer stand out. And by that, I mean, obviously, write as clean an offer as you possibly can, which typically means waiving your contingencies. It's worth highlighting that during the disclosure package analysis with my client, we actually found that that property has been subject to multiple criminal acts in the past 5 years. So unfortunately, the downstairs unit had been broken into at least twice, which did raise a bit of a concern and a bit of a red flag. Now, Hayes Valley is a really cool neighborhood, but that's not to say it's perfect. It is very close to Civic Center, which has a lot of homeless activity, and it's a little rough around the edges, if you will. I pointed that out to my client. He was aware of it. He had a discussion with his parents, and from that, they pretty much decided to sit this one out and actually not submit an offer. But we still went through the whole process. He still looked at all the disclosures, and I did a very thorough pricing analysis. So I'm actually gonna show you guys how I pretty much analyzed the value of this property and how I came to the price suggestion or the offer suggestion that, in my opinion, could have potentially won this property. It's important to note that today is Thursday. The property did receive offers today by 3 p.m. I'm obviously gonna check with the listing agency how many offers they ended up getting. We'll know what it closes for within 30 days, but I still like to kind of get a little bit of a ballpark. So I'll let you guys know what it roughly sold for. And if you'd like to take a stab at guessing, definitely leave a comment below. So let's just hop right into the email that I sent my client with the pricing analysis and the comps. Here we're looking at what I sent Will. I said, happy Monday. Whenever we come across an interesting property that we'd like to look into further, not only will we review the disclosures, but I will also send you the comparable sales to analyze value. To gather comps, I pull a 0.2 mile radius search looking for similar homes that have sold in the past 6 months, sometimes further, right? Depends on it. It's gonna be on an as-needed basis, and send it to you for review. So here I send Will the 2-bed condo sales within 0.2 miles of the subject property. I also like to send the property detail with photos. I don't want my client just to be looking at raw data. I also want him to actually go and look property by property and look at the differences. Like, how updated is a property versus another? Does it have parking? Does it not? Is it in a block that is very clean? Is it in a block that has a lot of ruckus, or is there a bus line, kind of going through it? These are all things that we're always going to want to look into. I have a few notes And again, it's very important that you have an agent that actually, gets the San Francisco real estate market and can do a proper analysis. When I looked at the comps, I let them know that there have been a few sales north of 1.4K per foot. I also let them know that the highest price per square foot was for a penthouse which sold at 450 Hay Street, and that was around $18.39 a foot. Now it's important to note that that property was built in 2016. It is, a top floor unit, penthouse, of course. But with that said, it was still a very high number. And given the comps that we had, which weren't a ton, we still looked at this one because it's in the mix, right? And it's actually very similar square footage. And we had such a unique property that we were looking at. 553 Grove is pretty much a designer home. It's been featured in magazines. It burned down in '06. It got totally rebuilt with, amazing finishes. A lot of the wood that burned was actually reclaimed and utilized in some of the kitchen, the bathroom tiles or heath ceramics, row fixtures. They did not leave any stone unturned. So it was a very unique property, so we still wanted to look at that comp. I also highlighted that 553 Grove is 1,049 square feet. That the square footage was not disclosed in the marketing remarks, and a lot of agents in the city actually choose to withhold what the square footage is. So when somebody's looking at the price per square foot, they don't get thrown off. And the same thing actually happened with the property on Hay Street. They did not disclose, right? For marketing purposes, they do in the disclosures, but for marketing purposes, they did not disclose the fact that that property was only 1,022 square feet and sold for 1.88 million. That's, it's crazy, right? Obviously, if you look at that square footage, you're gonna be like, whoa. So a lot of agents kind of choose not to make that public. But your buyer's agent should always let you know, because we have access to tax records. So we can actually go and pull this information up for you so you're aware what the value of this property is on a per square foot basis. Because we don't want to run into any appraisal issues down the line because your agent didn't properly let you know what the price per square foot in the general vicinity was. So in my pricing analysis, given the data that I had, I pretty much come up with a few assumptions for my valuations. For the first item here, value of subject at average of 3 highest price per square foot, and that would leave us with 1.647. And I'll show you guys the comp shortly. I also took another figure here because I know that 553 Grove last sold in 2015 for 1.41 million. At the time, that was around $13.40 per foot, which is pretty high when you consider that that was 7 years ago. And then I also took value of subject at second highest price per square foot, and that gave us a number at right around 1.5. Well, we know that this property was listed at 1.495. It's definitely going to sell over asking, especially given the fact that there's such limited inventory right now and a lot of pre-approved, ready to buy buyers out there just driving up the prices on the few homes that are available and look as good as this one does. I'll show you guys what the actual pricing analysis looks like. And in the pricing analysis, we have all of the comps, and those are going to be pulling up here. So here we are. I have a list of all of the comps, and this is, in essence, my pricing analysis. Knowing that this was going to be a competitive situation, I suggested that if we were going to submit an offer, assuming he really wants the property and he really wants to get it, we would have to put our best foot forward at around 165. Like I mentioned, it is a very unique property. There are comps in the neighborhood that can support this price. I mean, just when we look at the average of the 3 highest price per square foot, I pretty much took 1434, 1438, and 1839, all bundled up together. That leaves with a price of around 1.65. This is the sort of work that I do. If some of you are newer agents out there and have don't know how to come up with a proper pricing analysis, hopefully this is helpful. If you're a buyer out there and you're looking for an agent that is very analytical when it comes to data and really thorough when it comes to presenting you value, because this is how an appraiser is going to look at a property when they go and walk it, definitely make sure to reach out. If you guys are enjoying this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Thank you.